This girl, 12-year-old Lori Paige, has been a missing runaway for 14 days. Now at 11, I spoke with one of her teachers who is begging for her to come back. When someone goes missing, every minute counts. Margaret Summers, who's a paraprofessional at Griffin Middle School, knows this. That's why she's trying to get the word out about her student, 12-year-old Lori Paige.
I feel like after 14 days, there has to be at least one adult who has seen her or has an idea where she may have gone.
Lori is considered a missing runaway and was last seen on June 3rd near the 1200 block of Continental Court, which is close to Ocala Road and less than a mile away from Mission Sam Lewis. Rhodey Ferguson, pastor for New Birth Tabernacle of Praise in Griffin Heights, doesn't know Lori personally, but he says in his position it's important to help the community any way he can.
We ought to be her family. We ought to look for her consistently until she's safe and sound. I think it's incumbent upon the churches as well in the neighborhood because that's why we're there. We're in the community not just for spiritual growth, but also to be a voice.
Summers says Lori has run away before, but she's always been found within a few days.
I'm hoping that if nothing else, that Lori will come to the school. She knows she's safe there. She knows that people care about her there. And we're in summer school, so she can come there any day, Monday through Thursday.
Pastor Ferguson forwarded Lori's missing person bulletin to the Frontline Pastors Action Council, which is made up of about 26 pastors.
We're going to keep searching. We're going to keep making phone calls. We're going to keep putting her bulletin out there. We're going to keep doing it until she's safe and sound, until we have some type of results.
Summers says Lori's teachers and friends are concerned, and they're just hoping she'll come back.
If we can find Lori, we can hopefully find her a mentor, so next time she faces struggles, she can talk to her mentor and not feel like she has to run away.
And her message for Lori if she's watching.
Lori, you're a great student and a great kid, and there's nothing that you haven't done well enough. Just come back.
If you have any information about where Lori is, you can call Tallahassee Police Department at 850.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome with Adonna. Okay, welcome over here. We're going to get into this topic. And I want to start off, shout out to Carrie Moody. K-A-R-I. Last name M-O-O-D-Y. She have a channel. She does crime stories too. And she came up with this topic, and this was a couple of weeks ago, and it's been weighing very heavy on my heart, of this young girl missing. But the kicker of this story is she was missing months ago. I believe like the middle of the summertime last year. And basically, the cops just put her down as a runaway. A 12-year-old. I think she just turned 12 at the time. Right? So he put her down as a runaway. Do you know how important it is to find someone the first couple of hours? I think the first 3 hours when it comes to a child is the most crucial time. And you just threw it under the rug? All right, so we're going to watch a couple of clips. I'm going to read an article, and then we're going to watch some clips. And also, Nancy Grace got up on it. So when Nancy Grace got up on this story, she ruffled some feathers. So people's out here like, wait a minute, now we got the FBI. This is really sad. This beautiful girl right here. Where is Lori? Where is she? Where is she? Where could she be? Someone answer that one. All right. So we're going to get into this one here. Let me just read this article real quick, and then as I read the article, I'm going to show you some clips, okay? And shout out to you, Carrie Moody, because thank you for bringing this to attention. And anybody who's watching me, who happens to be a content creator, please make a little quick video on this beautiful girl. put some awareness. You know, we do have power with the social media. Let's take advantage of it in the good way. All right, let's get into this topic. All righty, this article I have is from ABC News. FBI offers $15,000 reward for information in the search for the 12-year-old girl. All right. The FBI announced on Tuesday that the agency is offering up to $15,000 reward for any information that leads to the whereabouts of Lori Paige, a 12-year-old girl who has been missing from Tallahassee, Florida since June 3rd, 2023. Do y'all hear this, ladies and gentlemen? June 3rd, 2023. All right, let's get back to it. The FBI will stop at nothing to protect kids, and we are fully committed to helping our partners at Tallahassee Police Department exhaust every investigative resource in the search for Lori Paige. FBI Jacksonville acting special agent is charged. His name is Mark, some I can't pronounce it, told WTXL, the ABC affiliate in Tallahassee, that we encourage everyone to keep an eye out for this young lady to help us bring her home. And like I said, if anybody's content creators, please make a video for this lady, this young girl. This is something just doesn't add up with this story. All right, let me go back to reading. According to the FBI, Lori has tried to or may visit Tallahassee, Florida, Tampa, Florida, Thomasville, Georgia, and Nashville, Tennessee. ABC News has reached out to the FBI field office in Jacksonville for further comment as the agency assists the Tallahassee Police Department in the search for the missing girl. Alicia Hill, a public information officer for the Tallahassee PD, told WTXL on Tuesday that the police department, along with the Tallahassee Fire Department, began a search on Tuesday for Lori at the San Luis Mission Park in northwestern part of the city. All right. Hill said that while they have searched the park in the past, this is their first grid search of the 64 acres area, which in half is a mile from where Lori was last seen. A grid search is just an opportunity to go inch by inch over an area, especially a very large area, making sure that we are able to comb through a lot of the different elements that we have out here. Hills told the reporters as she spoke from the site of the search. It is a very large park, and so it takes a lot of resources and a lot of manpower and a lot of time to be able to come in and do the type of search. God bless all these people. Bless them. God bless them. All right, where am I at? Asked if his foul play is suspected. Police did not immediately respond to the ABC News request for comments. Pastor Rudy Ferguson and community advocates, I can't even say, I'm over here stumbling, but just y'all know what I'm talking about, in Tallahassee, who has been assisting in the search of Lori since she had went missing, told WTXL on Tuesday that the latest search, which involves about 90 people, tell them that Tallahassee is one Tallahassee and they are determined to find young Lori. Where is Lori? Police said in the media advisory on February the 1st that the TPD Special Victims Unit is continuing to timeless explore every lead and resources to locate Lori Paige. The length of time has passed, and her young age only heightens our concern for her well-being. The statement said, despite our persistent efforts, Lori remains out of contact with her family and friends. However, we remain committed to bringing her home. All right, I'm going to read this last paragraph and I'm done here. After the police, the 12-year-old was a student at the Griffin Middle School and was last seen on June 3rd, 2023 in a 1200 block of Continental Court and is described as a dark-skinned black female with shoulder-length dreadlocks, black hair, brown eyes, and weighs about 120 pounds. Police said that it is unknown what she was wearing when she was last seen, but she may have had a multicolored backpack. All right. So basically, with the story, I'm going to, play some clips here. But basic story is the father works nights. So she's home. He comes home. She's not there. Where is she? Where is she? That's the question. Where is she? All right, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm getting ready to, give me a second so I can set up this next clip. We're going to get into this here. Wait a minute. And I forgot to say it. Make sure y'all hit the like, share me out if you can, and all that good stuff. All right. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we're gonna watch this clip, and this clip is with Nancy Grace. And we're going to hear what Nancy Grace have to say. And shout out to her, because I love watching me some Nancy Grace. She's very passionate in what she does. And with her saying something ruffles her feathers, it helps. Yes, it does. It helps. Alrighty. Let me just greet whoever's in here real quick. And blessings to you, Marlene. I see you, Lisa, my dear. And I see you, Gigi, Nell Gigi. Alright. And I see you too, Jack Mudd on deck. Alright, let's get into this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, where is Lori Paige? Can someone answer this question? I'd like to know.
How can a 12-year-old little girl just disappear and nobody knows anything? Not only that, this little girl goes missing June 3. Let's see. June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. And nothing is being done. Why? Where is this beautiful 12-year-old girl, Lori Paige, out of Tallahassee, Florida? Got a lot of questions about this investigation. But most important, where is she? Is she dead or alive? Who has her? What's been done to her? Has she been sex trafficked? Is she being hidden? Is she even alive? Let me give you the tip line right off the top. 850-574-TIPS. 850-574-8477. We really need your help. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us here at Crime Stories and on Sirius XM 111.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to put on speed 1.25. You should be able to understand it, but if it's too much for you, you can always do the setting and you can slow it on your side, okay? But I believe you're going to be able to understand it. Just 1.25. Now let's resume. And the question is, where is Lori Paige? This really doesn't add up. But they're searching. All right, let's get it.
This is how the whole thing starts. Take a listen to Lieutenant Laura Varble.
She was reported missing to us on June 3rd by her father with very limited information. So Dad works overnight. He is he works in our correctional facilities. So he left late the night before, returned the next day after his shift, and she was gone. And this was not abnormal. That was their regular pattern.
Okay, let me clarify what Lieutenant Varble is saying. After I started investigating this case, I learned when she says that's not abnormal, she doesn't mean that the girl is gone is not abnormal. What was not abnormal is the dad works a night shift. Mom's out of the picture. Dad has the 12-year-old girl. Everything's going along fine. He works a night shift, and then he comes home, and she's there. This is a responsible dad who works within the correctional facility, I believe at a prison, and holds down a regular job and is taking care of his 12-year-old little girl. With me, an all-star panel. But first, I want to go to a special guest who has emerged as an unlikely hero in this scenario. Marty Summers, paraprofessional at Griffin Middle School, very close with the little girl, Lori Paige, who was missing, just 12 years old. I'm thinking of my little girl who is now 16. You know what she did this morning? When she left to go to school, she left the door wide open. She walked out the door with her hands full and just left. I mean, that's the thinking. They're not thinking, right? They're children. And this little girl is just 12 years old. Margie Summers knows very, very well, and she is the one who actually went out and organized a search for Lori on Facebook. Margaret Adams Summers. Ms. Summers, thank you for being with us. First of all, I want to address the home situation because you know, like we all know, that when a child goes missing or a child is killed, it's very likely someone in the family. And the first place you look are the male family members. You look at the dad, the stepdad, the boyfriend, the live-in, the older brother, the ex-boyfriend, anyone connected to that family. In this case, we're not seeing that kind of suggestion against Lori's father. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree with that.
What can you tell us about their living situation?
I know that about a year prior to her disappearance, that her mother brought her.
Now, this is the teacher, okay? And I just showed the video, the opening video, and I was showing it. This is the teacher that, you know, that's out here fighting hard to find out where is Lori? Where is this girl at? When I first heard about this story, I just couldn't, the tears were just coming down. And it's not right. These officers basically was like, oh, well, she probably just ran away. She's 12 years old. I think at that time was 11. Where did she run away to? Let's say she did run away. She's a child. She doesn't know no better. So it's our job as adults to find her and to take care of her. Let's get back to it. God bless this teacher.
Her to the father and basically left her with her father. At that point, her father was somewhat new to parenting, but the two of them were making a go of it.
Hey, we're all new at parenting. I'm open to any and all advice, and believe me, I get plenty of advice online. You know, the other day, with me, Nicole Parton, crimeonline.com investigative reporter, and I want everybody to know, one of the reasons we have her on today is not only is she a phenomenal investigative reporter, but she is the mother of 10. She has taken in children, fostered them and adopted them that had all sorts of learning problems, moms that neglected them and abandoned them. So she is a super mom, all right? So Nicole Parton, for instance, the other day, I posted a picture of Lucy and John David. They were being acolytes at church, and Lucy had on the cutest little dress ever. People actually wrote in that I let her wear a dress that was too short. I'm like, hello, do you notice she's in church on Sunday morning? Anyway, no matter what you do, somebody is going to find fault with it. But from all I can tell, as Margie Summers says, this dad was doing his very best. And like my dad, my whole life, he worked, as we called it, the night trick, a night job. And there was no way for him to get out of doing it. So as far as I can tell, there is no suggestion at all that this father has had anything to do with his daughter's disappearance. In fact, he is distraught.
Absolutely, that's what we're hearing. And another thing to note, it's been mentioned repeatedly, she was a wonderful student. Here's a girl who loved to go to school. She loved education. She loved learning.
Another thing is weird, too. Can't find much pictures of her. Only about 2 pictures of her. This is a girl who's growing up and about, 11, 12 at that time? Well, about 12 now. Like to take pictures. Little girls like to take pictures. Why I don't see much pictures? The same thing like Orrin and Orson West. You know, we couldn't find any pictures. There was hardly any pictures out. Just something to think about. Very interesting. Resume.
Learning. So that in part has to be a reflection on somewhat of the dynamic at home. This dad was doing his very best. She was in school every day. He was working. As was said, they were making a go of it, and it sounds like he was doing a really good job. 12 years old. I have an 11-year-old daughter, a child. It's a child. She's disappeared almost 250 days now. She's been missing, a little girl.
Well, I didn't even know about the story. Margie Summers, back to you. And I'm going to introduce the rest of our all-star panel who are incredible. You'll recognize a lot of their names. Margie Summers, I was just thinking about what all this child has gone through, but you knew her. It's my understanding that she was doing really well with her father, never missing school, upbeat. Is that true?
That is very accurate. And when I later learned that there were issues, I was actually surprised. She was so put together at school. I just want to guess that she was struggling with issues at home.
Let me go straight out. Speaking of irreparable harm caused by moms and dads in your youth, Dr. Bethany Marshall is joining us, renowned psychoanalyst joining us out of LA at drbethanymarshall.com. Dr. Bethany, we need some help because, see, my memories of my mother is that she did, and my dad did, everything she could to help us. Of course, we grew up on a red dirt road in the middle of rural Bibb County, but every day we were at school, we never thought of laying out of school. When I woke up at 7 a.m. in the morning, my mom was already gone to work, but she had laid out 3 breakfasts, grits and eggs, and things for us to drink. Everything was done. Our clothes were laid out the night before. We never missed school. We never missed church. In fact, I asked her one time, Mom, what would happen if I told you I didn't want to go to Sunday school this morning? And she didn't miss a beat, Bethany. She said, oh, well, I would just pull you out of the nice school you're in right now and let you go to the Georgia Industrial Home for Girls to learn a trade. And she just kept going. I went, I got to go get ready. So that was that. I never brought that up again. But my point is, see, it's so hard for so many people to identify with a mom that drops you off.
When the one person who is entrusted with taking care of you, making sure you're safe in this world, making sure your hair is combed, there's breakfast on the table, the person who's supposed to have a secure attachment with the father, when that person cannot hold on to their relationship with the child, she's perhaps antagonistic with the father, that really destroys a child's world. And I'm going to tell you something about this little girl. Her primary attachments were with her father and with her schoolmates. I just now, the little bit I've heard on this show tells me that this is not a runaway. This is somebody who had attachments in their immediate circle. Runaways are children who have such.
And she's right, because as I was listening to the story and a little bit of reading that I've done, I don't see her as a runaway. I don't know what happened. This is so weird. Dad is at work. He works nights. As we listen to this, I'm Do you think maybe she was talking to somebody online? Dad's working late night and somebody befriend her acting like they was her age? Because, you got these sleazeball, dusty, low-life type of creepy guys that go online and they'll try to act like they're your age or act like they're a female, whatever. Oh, I understand. My mother, she bothers me too, whatever, And then they feel comfortable and they be like, okay, you want to meet at the mall? We gonna get ice cream and hang out? Okay. And then all of a sudden you go there and then you never see your child again. I was watching a movie the other day that was a true story. She was talking to somebody she thought was like, a guy her age. Then she went to go meet him in the mall. She was like, what, 14, 15 or something like that? And it's a true story. And she went to go meet him at the mall. And she see this old man here, like 40-something years old. And she like, who you? Oh, I really care about you. I just didn't want to scare you off by telling you my age, but you understand. And then he took her to the hotel, and I think you know what happened. And that's just all I have to say. There was more to the movie. If I remember the name of the movie, I'll let you know if you want to see it. I've seen it on Tubi, but it was really sad. Oh, and by the way, he was married with children and supposed to be a stand-up guy in the community. Yeah, those are the creeps. The ones you least expect. Let's get back to it.
A huge amount of trouble in their home that their primary attachments are with strangers, and that's not the case here.
That's exactly where I was headed, Dr. Bethany. Once again, you've read my mind. Margie Summers is with us, who, again, has turned into a very unlikely hero. She is the one that has organized the search for little Lori Paige. She is the one being heard on media speaking out about a girl gone, a little girl gone. Now, Margie, I called hunting for information about this girl. And no matter how many times I called, it seems as if police didn't want to speak publicly. Isn't that unusual? But I did notice after I started investigating the case myself, suddenly things started changing and moving. What happened, Margie?
I think your phone calls may have made a difference, and they may have realized that, hey, this is a big deal. 8 months is too long. And
Yeah.
I think somebody just needed to draw some attention to that so that the startling fact that she's been gone 8 months would shine through again.
Well, what have they done since I started poking around?
From what I understand, they've added a whole lot of resources to the case, additional detectives. They're doing a lot more legwork. They're starting over from the beginning. So it's almost like the whole investigation has kicked off in high gear.
Well, I wish this had happened 8 months ago, but to the Tallahassee PD, we would love for you to join us and help us find Lori Paige.
I'm still trying to understand. So many months went by and just hearing about this. You know, social media does have that negative because there's so many toxic, crazy lunatics that's on, social media. Like I always say, social media is the mental illness playground. And they truly get their play in the playground. But other words, social media has its benefits that we can bring awareness to things. And this is one of them. And like I said, anybody who's here or who's watching replay, if you're a content creator, please, if you can, just take a few minutes and make a little quick video. Even if you want to make a short video, TikTok, I don't know, whatever on social media you are, just put it out there. Or share my video, whatever you want to do. Let's put awareness and find out, where is Lori Paige? Resume.
The whole reason I was working up to the fact that she had stability with her father is to dispel the idea that she has gone runaway and is voluntarily staying away from home and school. Isn't it true, Margie Summers, that she was doing well at school and seemingly happy with friends?
I would say she was doing well at school. I never saw her with any particular friends, but she was so driven and so focused on school. It was almost like she didn't see school as a social environment. She saw it as a very serious learning endeavor. She would literally run from one class to the next, even though it was across the hallway, just to make sure she wasn't tardy. So she.
A young girl that does all that? No, I don't think she's a runaway. It doesn't add up. She'd have been failing, flunking in school, cutting school, dabbling in drugs, drinking, stuff like that. No. This is not a girl who run away. Something happened to this beautiful girl. Let's get back to it.
She was friendly with other students and she talked to them, but she was way more serious about school than anything else.
Guys, where is this little girl? What do we know? Listen to Lieutenant Laura Varble.
She was home by herself. He had worked nights since she had come to live with him, and she would always be home while he worked his overnight shift. It was.
I don't know. Every state is different, but 11, 12-year-old is not supposed to be left alone. That's not good, and she's a girl. But sometimes, parents they have it so hard, especially if you're a single parent. They have to do what they have to do and pay the bills. But she shouldn't have been by herself. I'm not putting blame on the father because we don't know, the whole story or whatever. I don't know, but tell me what you think. Would you leave your 12-year-old alone overnight? Oh boy, get back to it.
A quadruplex, so it's like there's a lot of little places, and there was a neighbor reference obviously for her, an adult person, that if she needed something.
I lost someone.
Somebody to reach out to.
Okay, to Chris McDonough joining us, director of the Cold Case Foundation, former homicide detective. I found him on his YouTube channel, The Interview Room. Chris McDonough, thank you so much for being with us. Does it irritate you as much as it irritates me that this child had been labeled a runaway? You know how many cases I've covered where the child was first designated a runaway and they end up dead?
Mm-hmm.
100%, Nancy. I mean, in this situation, obviously, 12-year-olds, they just don't disappear. They can, sometimes circumstances, they do run away. However, in this particular case, if we look at it, from a 30,000-foot view, you got to take into consideration, and we've talked many times on your show about this, the victim risk continuum. And when you look at that, this child falls within a medium risk in relationship to the totality of her life circumstances. With that in
I don't
play,
even know what you're saying. She's a medium
well,
risk in totality with her life circumstances. What in the hey are you saying? Can you listen? I feel like I'm hearing someone read a police report. Please dummy it down for me. What are you saying?
Okay, so what you do is you have like an L-shaped risk continuum. And on one side, you write environment, situation, circumstance. On the bottom, you'll put low, medium, and high risk. The lower to the left, the child's daily activities, the higher the opportunity is for a suspect and or somebody in her environment. Now, in this
Okay,
situation,
I do still.
if
Do you know what he's saying? Sort of. Okay, again, we don't know what you're saying. Let me try to interpret in regular people talk. Chris McDonough, are you saying that she was at a low risk for being a runaway?
No, I'm saying
Okay.
she's in the
See,
medium
I did not have
category
any idea what you're saying. Medium category for what?
for potentially somebody luring her out of the home through an internet situation, through anything.
So at
in
medium
her
risk
environment.
for kidnap or luring. Is that what you're saying?
Luring.
Okay,
Yes,
medium risk
typically-
because of what? Because just so you know, we have learned that she did not have a social media profile. She was not online.
Right. Well, that's not uncommon for somebody to within the family to say, well, wait a minute, she could have had a phone, she could have had access to her friends. There could have been a variety of circumstances. And that's why I'm saying you take a look at her environment, the totality of her environment. Who are her friends? What access points to the internet does her father or friends have? And those are kind of things that kids, you know more than anybody. I mean,
It gets more, excuse me, it gets more confusing because she doesn't have a social media presence. Where are you, Lori? What's going on? What's going on? Talk to us. Come back home.
raised 4 of them. They sometimes use their friends' stuff, and that's the kind of
Well, the only
access
thing that
points.
raises a risk in my mind is the fact that her dad had to work overnight and mom's not in the picture at all. She had recently moved to the area. I guess, Margie Summers, it was over a year ago?
Yes, it was approximately a year earlier. I think it may even have been August, so the beginning of 6th grade.
Gotcha. Listen to this, guys.
She was recently moved to the area to live with Dad. She had been with Dad for about a year. She has had a lot of things happen in the course of her life, so there could be several reasons with regards to her background. We just really can't speculate as to which that could be.
To Dr. Bethany Marshall, I want to follow up on what we're hearing the lieutenant say about having had a tough time of it. Starting a new school is hard enough on its own. Then your dad is gone. You get home in the afternoon and your dad leaves to go to work. So she's there by herself, probably musing about whatever happened during the day, maybe being homesick. So that's difficult.
With her. So if she is falling prey to some other person outside the house, there's no one for her to attach to in the house. Further, this is a little girl who ran from class to class, even if the other class was across the hallway. This tells me she was a good little girl. Good girls are victims, right? Little girls who can't say no. She's going to be hungry for attachments. Anybody who gives her love, anybody who says they can fulfill her needs, anybody who says, I'll keep you safe, I know you better than your own parents, she's going to gravitate to those people.
And that's what I'm scared that happened to her. Because somewhere, I guess, relationship with the mother, we don't know the whole story. Maybe the father could be an a-hole narcissist and the mother had to dip. We don't know the whole story, right? But I'm going to do some more research. I'm going to do a part 2 on this one if I find out some more. So we don't know the whole story then. But I'm thinking maybe somebody online, but they say there's no social media. Who was she communicating with? What happened to her? Dad goes to work. He comes home, gone. But question I want to know, Dad, when was the last time he spoke to her? Because if she's home alone, this is a girl? Wouldn't you be calling like every hour, an hour, I guess? I don't know, maybe job don't he don't have that free time to do that? I don't know. But this is your daughter alone? Something don't add up. Something don't make sense.
Because she is like a thirsty little plant. Every little drop of water is going to make her spring to life, even if it's from a predator.
Joining me now is high-profile family lawyer, joining us out of North Carolina, now at triangledivorcelawyers.com. Kathleen Murphy, before you tell me what you think, I want you to hear this. Take a listen to Sydney Sumner, crimeonline.com.
When police began looking into the disappearance of 12-year-old Lori Paige, detectives started by looking for her digital footprint. But Lori Paige has no digital footprint. She's not on social media. Old school methods are being used to find the middle schooler, knocking on doors and talking to neighbors, putting up flyers with her name and personal details, sharing information with neighboring police agencies, and asking the public for help.
Knowing that, according to police, there was no digital footprint. She's not on Snapchat. She's not on Insta. They can't find her anywhere. But we do know there was a computer in the home. We know that because cops said that, but yet no digital footprint. What does this mean to you, Kathleen?
It means to me that the police have not gotten that computer and looked at it carefully. It also means to me that the police have not fully investigated this case. 12-year-olds are going to find a way to connect with somebody that makes them feel good. They're going to have that reach out. And if she's
Exactly. She's breaking it down. That's a very crucial age for boys and girls, especially girls too. Where are you, Lori Paige? You are a student. You love school. You run to your classes. Make sure you get your work done. I didn't hear nothing about you boy crazy or nothing like that. Whatever happened with your mother, we don't know. And your dad goes to work and he comes home and you're just gone. All right, let's get back to it.
alone for a significant amount of the evening and nighttime, and she has a computer, and she has access to the computer. I wonder if the police have reviewed that computer.
Good question. Margie Summers, did the school have computers? Could she access a computer at school?
Matter of fact, Nancy, all of the kids at our school are issued computers, and they maintain those computers with them and take them home at night, charge them, and bring them back to school each and every day. Every student at Griffin Middle School has a Chromebook.
So she did have a computer. Has that computer been found, Margie?
I do not know the answer to that.
Well, wouldn't they have returned it to the school?
Yes, she would have checked it in at the end of the year, and I'm quite certain that she did, because just the kind of student she was. I also wanted to mention, based on what your other guest said regarding her self-esteem, I know that Lori received results of a negative test score. She was absolutely distraught and feeling terrible about her test score. She is the only student that I've ever had to say, Lori, it's not that serious. It just means we're going to have to help you in this one area. Other students,
she feels that way. That's not a runaway. But if a child at that age and she's distraught and she's all upset, could be an abusive home. So she's, or he or she, whatever, boy or girl, they could be like, it bothers them because they know they're going to have to pay for it when they get home because they have some lunatic parents. But we're not hearing that. We're just hearing that she was upset about her grade. So if she feels that way, that's not a runaway, right? What do you think? Tell me.
To get them even interested in their test scores is a bit of a chore, but not Lori. She took that low score very much to heart, and I was actually concerned about how sad she was regarding that test.
That just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. With me right now, Megan Crine, Director of Communications at Child Help. And if you've never heard of Child Help, please go online to childhelp.org. It's amazing. They care about one thing: helping children. Megan, thank you for being with us. When I think of this little girl, 12, so upset about a bad grade, and now she's missing, and she was immediately described as a runaway. It's been 8 months. A child that's that upset about one bad test grade, I just don't see her running away.
I don't see it either, Nancy, and thank you for having me. We see children like this a lot, and that tells me that she's so upset about a grade. It's a perfectionist. It's one way to get her mother's approval, keep peace in the family. There's been a lot of discord, and like you said, she's a baby. She's 12. She cannot sustain 8 months by herself.
I just pray to God that she's still alive. And speaking of this little girl's nature, I want you to hear what the mom has to say. Listen.
Did she leave in the middle of the night to go be outside voluntarily without being manipulated? In no world does that make sense. She might be outside in the dark. She is scared of everything. How are you outside in the dark for this long? And who's feeding you? Who is feeding this child? Because again, I know my child. Her first word was eat.
So Dr. Bethany Marshall, when the mom tells us that, how scared the child is, she's afraid of the dark, she doesn't like the outside, she loves to eat, she loves the meals. None of this makes sense with the phrase that this little girl just took off. I'm just not buying it.
No, none of it makes sense.
BG, I see you, classy lady. Another sad story. It was, listen to this story, BG. Reminds me of Orson West. Not much pictures, and people just swept it up under the rug. Shout out to Nancy Grace for bringing this to attention to people. And that's why the FBI and everybody decide they want to get involved. Because at first, they just put it down as just, well, she's a runaway. Let's just move on. The first 3 to 5 hours is the most crucial time when it comes to a missing child. I think it's 2 to 3 hours, something like that. Whatever it is, if anybody who's here, you can, tell me or, watching the replay. And we lost those crucial hours. We lost it because they were so busy saying to her, put her down as, oh, she's just a runaway. Well, if she is a runaway, we need to find her. She didn't even hit teens yet. And you already just dismissed her, right? Where is Lori Paige?
I mean, when she disappeared, it was nighttime. What do you think this little 12-year-old girl's going to go out and take an Uber? That did not happen.
No, and her mother knows her daughter, right? I mean, who best would know her than her own parents? However, one thing concerns me, and that is that the mother is talking like a police detective, not like somebody who's concerned about her daughter. Now, I'm not saying she's not concerned because she might be.
I kind of noticed that too. When she said, who feeding her? It was like, I'm just saying I would address it as, who's feeding my daughter? Who's feeding my son? You know what I mean? But we can't judge all that, but whatever. Yep. All right. Resume. We almost done, ladies and gentlemen. Just hang in there. Hang in there. And like I said, anybody who's a content creator, please, if you can, make a short, make a video here, TikTok, Twitter, whatever, share me out, whatever you want to put out. You can put a picture on your Twitter and say, where is Lori Paige? And if you know any information, here's a number, something, anything. Let's put out awareness for it. Use your social media gifts that you have to help this girl. Because we need to bring attention, because this crap needs to stop. I'm tired of our beautiful young girls missing. I'm tired of them not getting enough attention as other people. It's not right. She's Godchild like everybody else. Resume.
Be shocked, dissociated, unable to express her love. On the other hand, a mother who's this methodical and detached.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to defend the mother. In defense of what the mother is saying, she's extremely defensive and angry that the police and others have just written Lori off as a runaway. Take a listen to what Mrs. Brazzi, the mom, has to say about her daughter being labeled a runaway.
The police report said that she ran away, and there's no reason why they believe that she was taken. And that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because you can voluntarily leave under manipulative circumstances. So, and then whether she voluntarily left or not, she's a child. What rights do children have to move around as they please? Can she get in the car and voluntarily drive down your block?
Well said, BG. So if she ran away, she does not deserve to be found? Shameful. That's what I'm trying to understand. Someone please help me. Give me some clarity over here, because I would like it. What else BG says here? Donna, was there a boyfriend around this child? No. This girl's supposed to be like she's so much into school. She loves school. She's upset if she gets a bad grade. Her father works night at a correctional facility. I don't know exactly what he does there. He works nights. She's home by herself. Not too good at that age for a girl to be home by herself. And he comes home, BG, and she's gone. They report it, and what does everybody say? Well, they just put it down as a runaway. And this happened last year in the summer. Anniversary, June is right around the corner. So now, they got the FBI and everybody's out here searching and looking for her. Shout out to Nancy Grace for ruffling those feathers. Resume.
Because just as sure as she gets in a car and starts to drive it, that's going to be a problem. But when she voluntarily leaves and is missing, like, this doesn't make sense. Things that don't make sense make me upset. I get irritated. Where is Lori Paige?
She's responding to her daughter being called a runaway, and it doesn't make any sense.
You know, Nancy, I completely retract my comments from before. She's sounding like a police detective because there are no detectives helping her. She's having to think this entire thing through herself. And she makes the most excellent point. Even if a child walks out of the house to a stranger, that's not voluntary. It's never voluntary.
Oh my gosh. BG, you just said something. I didn't even think about that. Someone knew she was alone. That's because I always say there's always somebody watching you. Not saying people could be watching you with evil intent, want to rob you, kill you, argue, whatever and stuff. But there's always somebody watching you. And you just never know. Some people's watching you with bad intent. That could be. People know. He always worked nights. Your neighbors kind of know if you work night times. They could tell if you got a whole bunch of women coming in and out the house, a bunch of men in and out. Your neighbors kind of see things. They can peep things. And especially your mail carrier. They know everything about you. When your mail comes to your house, they know everything about your life. Someone might have knew. Oh gosh, I'm getting the chills. Thank you for sharing that, BG. Resume.
Voluntary when a minor leaves the house and never returns. So this poor mother is falling back on her own psychological and mental resources to find her own child. Can you imagine if John David or Lucy went missing and you had to be the detective? You had to sort it
Another
out,
thing,
and you had
Dr.
no
Bethany,
training?
I think that she's doing, and I'm certainly no shrink. I want everybody else on the panel to jump in on this. She's methodically, as best she can, going through what she left, a 12-year-old. Well, who's going to feed her? What is she going to eat? She's afraid of the dark. She wouldn't have done that. What, does she get in a car? She's not going to drive. I mean, she's going through all these permutations of possibilities and ruling them out. And I have found, Dr. Bethany, that when you're faced with this horrible happening, you try to make sense. You try to apply logic to an illogical situation, and it doesn't work. And it gets harder and harder and more difficult. And that's what I hear the mom doing.
I agree with you. And, part of being a mother is something called maternal preoccupation. And what that means is no matter where your child is, no matter who's taking care of your baby, you're thinking about them all the time. Now, imagine your child is missing. That's going to be thinking about your child in a desperate kind of way. I like your use of the word permutations. She's trying to think of every single possibility, but not only that, these are rebuttals to the questions of
Yes,
people around
you're
her.
right.
Like,
What about it, Megan crying? You're hearing Dr. Bethany Marshall. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, yeah, the mom's out of control. She has no control, right? Can you imagine? I have 2 children, not knowing where they are, and for 8 months. I mean, we're coming up on a year.
What the mom is saying right now makes a lot of sense to me. Guys,
Mm-hmm.
also the specter of a mother's and father's worst nightmare. Take a listen to what the mom, Miss Brazzi, says.
Tallahassee has some of the worst sex trafficking in the state. And it's 20 minutes to Georgia. So yes, I'm concerned. I'm very concerned.
Joining me, Nicole Parton, crimeonline.com investigative reporter. Isn't it true that we have learned the night before she goes missing, she and her dad were at home as normal, watching TV, no problem, correct?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
Now, he then goes to work, and there are witnesses that saw them there together, chilling and watching TV. Everything was fine. Yes, no.
Yes, correct.
Then he goes to work as usual at a nearby prison facility. He works at CI, Correctional Institute. He goes to work. Locks the door. She's there. He comes home the next morning, and she's gone. Yes, no.
Yes.
Now, Nicole Parton, there was one unusual circumstance that happened the night before, early in the evening. Didn't the mom show up at the house, and that upset Lori?
She did. The mom showed up at the home, and there was an altercation to the point that her father, being protective, called the police and said, "Can you please come out and remove the mother from the home?" The police were not at their home all of the time. This was a good man. It's not like the cops were coming out every weekend. This was one incident where the mom showed up. The father did the right thing, called authorities and said, "There's an altercation. My daughter is upset." And the police came out and asked the mother to remove herself from the home.
Kathleen Murphy joining me, high-profile family lawyer. I'm sure this is not...
BG, I can't get over what you're saying. I think somebody was watching. Somebody knew that this little girl was by herself. Because we know the mother didn't do it. And everybody's talking like, the father's a stand-up guy, so he's working hard. Somebody probably knew. Was watching that house. Watching this little girl. I know, BG. Yeah. Whole thing is off, isn't it? You just go to work, come back, child's gone. Maybe somebody was watching this girl. If people watch you. You never know who's watching. They know your pattern. Some people know more about your pattern than you know your own self. You be like, what? You do that? I do that all the time. Yeah, you didn't know you always do this. You turn around, you do the. Dang, you watching me like that? You never know who's watching you. But not everybody who's watching has evil intent. But a lot of people do.
The first time you've seen trouble against warring exes, and the child is the casualty.
And these children at age 12 start to find their voice. They haven't quite found their voice, but they don't like that. They're going to want to speak to a judge, speak to their teachers, and speak out about what they should not be subjected to. And this little girl probably saw something that traumatized her.
Margie Summers with us, a paraprofessional Griffin Middle School who knows Lori very well. What do you make of it?
I believe that it was an upsetting incident because the cops never showed up at their house. For the cops to even have to be called would have been traumatic in and of itself. And I'm sure after that happened, I'm sure her mind was whirling and she was trying to figure out what to do and how to take control of the
Maybe she turned to a stranger to process the experience, or somebody was already predating on her. And at this point, she had nobody to process it with, which made her incredibly vulnerable to anybody who showed love and wanted to talk to her.
So she's.
I feel like Lori may have been overwhelmed. Even the bad grade she got on the standardized test overwhelmed her, and the burden of it was far too great for what's normal. And I'm sure the burden of what she just saw and maybe even felt responsible for would have weighed heavily on her. And I know sometimes when kids are overwhelmed, they flee that feeling of being overwhelmed.
Dr. Bethany, what do you make of that?
Well, I think what's happening with 12-year-olds is that they're slowly reassigning their attachments outside of the home. And this serves a biological function of preparing them to leave home when they're 17, 18, or 19. So already they're looking outside the house. But this little girl, her primary interest was with her parents. You can imagine your parents fighting. And the idea, kids blame themselves. Whenever the parents.
That's a great question. I'm trying to figure out what happened. Why did moms pop up? And it got that ugly he had to call the cops? Where is Lori Paige?
Parents fight, whenever a parent's neglectful or abusive, I'm not saying these parents were, they do not know that the
Guys,
failure is in the parents. They think
I
the
hear
failure
you.
is in
I
themselves.
hear you. And I would love the opportunity to psychoanalyze Lori Paige, the 12-year-old missing girl. But we have to find her first. And right now she's labeled as a runaway. She may have been upset that her mom and dad were having this war and there was a verbal confrontation and the cops came over and blah, blah, blah. Okay, but where is she? I mean, is it just me? Jackie, help me. We have to find the girl. I don't need to figure out what she's thinking right now. I need to find her and get her to safety. If she was upset that night and went out and sat on her front porch, if she went outside in the front yard, where the hay is she now? Now, you heard Margie Summers state that the computer was handed in. So whatever computer she had was not the school computer. But witnesses saw her on a computer watching TV with her dad before she disappeared, before the mom came and raised a ruckus. So where is she now? I think I hear Chris McDonough. Can we psychoanalyze this child later, after she's safe?
Yes, I get it.
Jump
But
in,
you're
man.
right, Nancy, and this is why the 14 detectives right now are realizing, holy cow.
Not one
the
of
critical
14
turn-
detectives would come on and make a plea for her. It's been 8 months since this child disappeared. I mean, why did you, Margie Summers, have to form the search committee? Why did you have to go out looking for her? Tell me about that.
Because other little girls, there's press conferences, there's rallies, there's news cameras, there's all kinds of attention. And my student, someone I cared about, was getting none. That's not fair. It's not right.
A DAMN thing. No pressers, no big searches, no guys and women on horseback, no canines, nothing.
Nothing. And luckily, the media in my area did take interest in the story. And shortly after we asked them to help us, 2 news channels and the local newspaper all ran stories.
When?
But all to no avail. 14 days after she went missing.
Okay, that was 8 months ago.
2 weeks. Yes, it was 8 months ago, and nothing's happened since until the last week or so, and it's picked up steam again. But 8 long months
I
went by.
wonder why. Okay, so were there any sightings of her?
Shout
that
out to
night?
Nancy. We know why.
I do not know.
Where was she last seen? Anybody? Was she seen outside the
Last
home
seen
that
at her
night,
home.
Nicole?
Last seen at her home.
In the home?
Yes, correct.
No neighbors saw her come outside?
That's correct.
This was in June 3. School had just ended. No neighbors saw her outside, right?
That's correct. Right.
Do we have any idea, Nicole Parton, Megan Crine, Chris McDonough, Dr. Bethany, Kathleen Murphy, Margie Summers, was a search done of the home to see if any altercation had occurred? Were any windows broken? Was the lock jimmied? Do we know anything? Was the home even processed?
To my knowledge, the home was not processed.
So,
But I can tell you what they were thinking, Nancy. Got there. Okay, when they got there, and this is where I was going. The critical turning point here is when they look at the father and they say, "Tell me about your daughter," and he tells them. The critical turning point here is, okay, 12-year-olds don't vanish. At that moment, 8 months ago, they should have immediately turned on all of the resources, because at that point, everybody knows you have a 12-year-old who has vanished. Now, they could have been thinking, well, maybe she ran away. It doesn't matter.
Why do you keep saying maybe she ran away? I don't give a flying fig how this whole thing started. Okay, go ahead.
Right, but it's critical now when we look 8 months later back, and we now see resources that should have been put on within 3 hours of this child's disappearance.
When I was accepted to SGU, that was one of the greatest days of my life.
It should have all been in motion back then, and it wasn't. And that's a huge problem. That is a huge problem.
Well, not only that, think about this, Chris. Let me throw this wrench into the works. If she's home alone, no one is there to see what she's doing on the internet. Margie Summers, what do you think about the claim she had no social media presence? She didn't text. She didn't email. Nothing?
I never saw her personally involved with social media, but I will say she was smart. And all of the kids at our middle school are tech savvy. They're issued a computer for the duration of the year. So to think that she wouldn't know how to use a computer or how to get on the internet would be categorically false. All the children here use the internet every day.
And we at Child Help, we're seeing an uptick in human trafficking. It's rampant. And that's where my head went first as well.
Is this Megan Crine?
Yes, it's Megan.
Okay, tell me about that. And why was it stated by the mother that Tallahassee is notorious for sex trafficking? It is close to the Georgia-Florida line,
border.
very close, and close to I-75, which takes you all the way from Florida to New York City and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just
and
thinking
we're on I-10. We are exactly dead center. It runs through the middle of our town. I-10 runs all the way from Jacksonville to California.
You know, another thing.
I'm sorry, Nancy.
No, go ahead, please. What I was going to say is, I'm wondering, I had a girl disappear from a stadium, an arena, a football game. And you know how they found her? Her face popped up on an internet, I want to say dating website, but it was an escort site. This child had been taken and was being pimped out of a hotel. Yeah.
That's so sad. And that's why I think
Do y'all hear this? We have to protect our children. We have to.
education is so important. And we have the Child Help Speak Up, Be Safe curriculum, which schools across the nation can implement. And it teaches kids, I'm old enough to remember the good touch, bad touch. And this is an offshoot of that. And we just implemented a human trafficking prevention curriculum.
So I'm trying to figure out, based on what Megan Crine from childhelp.org is saying, Chris McDonough, we have no indication the child is dead yet. But we don't know where she went. The home apparently wasn't processed. The police still think she didn't have a social media presence. I don't know if she had a phone or not. I don't think she did. So what in the hay do we do now? I mean, if it hadn't been for Margie Summers, there would not have even been a search. Oh, by the way, Margie, where did you search? What did you do during your search?
Me and some of the other teachers, staff members from the school got together and we handed out flyers in the immediate area. And then also on other days, I just went to some of the local convenience stores, taped them up there in case she popped in and out for a drink or a snack. Somebody would see her. I also asked the police that we need to focus to put flyers, and they just had no search parameters at all. So I hit a couple of apartment complexes, spoke to the managers, gave them flyers in case they saw her in their pool area, on one of the chairs, any particular direction.
I'm just thinking, you know, about what Margie Summers said, Chris McDonough, this little girl. The teachers got together and did a search for her. It wasn't the police, as I said, it wasn't ATVs and helicopters and heat-seeking sonar. The teachers got together. Why is this happening to this little girl? Why hasn't anybody championed her? Is it because she's black? What, is that it? That nobody cares about a 12-year-old little girl? I mean, look at her, Chris.
Nancy, nobody ever wants to see a child injured, hurt.
Nancy Grace? Exactly. That's the reason why. That's why I say anybody who has a channel or on social media, please put it out there. We want to know, who is this creep? Who is this lowlife that took this girl? Who is it? There's cameras everywhere. Everywhere. Somebody got to know something. But see, what makes this bad is so much time went by. So much time. Okay. I'm going to stop this video here because I want to show quick little news clip to let you go. I was only want to keep this to an hour, but it's not happening that way. So I'm going to mute for just a second, give me a second so I can set up the next one.
Clock continues to tick since a 12-year-old Tallahassee girl disappeared. It has now been over 260 days since Lori Paige was last seen. Thank you for joining us at 6. I'm Julie Montanero.
And I'm Jacob Murphy. Today, police and firefighters joining together to search for Lori Paige in a Tallahassee park.
Paige was reported missing in June of last year. She was last seen June 3rd at Continental Court. A month later, we spoke with police and one of Paige's teachers at Griffin Middle School. That investigation continued, but there were no updates. Today, the FBI announcing a $15,000 reward for information in the case. They're also setting up billboards in 3 states. And dozens of people participating in a search earlier in the day for the 12-year-old girl. It is the 5th search so far.
Our Stacey Inez spending much of the day with that search party, speaking with some of the people combing through dozens of acres at San Luis Mission Park. Stacey, what are those efforts looking like?
Julie and Jacob, police and fire were here pretty much all day, searching through every inch of this wooded area here through the trails and parks. They were combing through every detail, marking anything that they saw. Now, I also spoke with a woman, as you guys mentioned, she's been missing for nearly 8 months. So I spoke with a woman again today who taught Lori Paige in school at Griffin Middle. And she says it's really unbelievable that this 12-year-old is still missing. But she also says that is not a reason to give up.
I'm feeling discouraged just to not know anything for 8 months. Feels like
as days grow longer, knowing that 12-year-old Lori Paige is still missing after nearly 8 months.
every kid matters. And if she just disappeared and nobody knew about it, wouldn't that say she doesn't matter? She does matter, and she's going to continue to matter. And here we are 8 months later. We haven't stopped looking. We're not going to stop looking.
Tuesday, about 90 people between Tallahassee Police and Fire Department.
When Gabby Petito was missing, you remember that search? Brian Laundrie, remember that search? Ooh, they were searching. It was live and everything. Just something to think about. Reason.
Department searched 64 acres of Mission San Luis Park. TPD says Paige was last seen in the general area near Continental Court off Ocala Road.
Our concern grows day by day. We want to be able to bring Lori home and reunite her with her family and friends. When you have this amount of time that goes by, our concern always increases, but we've really been concerned since day one.
Alicia Hill with the police department says this is their 5th search since Paige was originally reported missing last summer.
But the reality is there's so much that goes on behind the scenes, so much investigative work. Even with a minimal digital footprint, we still have to comb through evidence online.
And as the search continues, Summers remembers Paige as one of her brightest students.
She was more into school, more so than any other kid that I dealt with. We are supposed to go out of our way to make the kids feel important, but the way she always beelined over to me made me feel important. And I have not forgotten the way that she made me feel.
Now, Summers is also continuing her efforts as well. So this weekend, she'll be attending a community cleanup, and she plans to hand out flyers for Lori Paige to anyone who might have seen her. And of course, law enforcement is asking if you know anything to let them know and let them decide how useful that information is. But as we mentioned earlier, the FBI now issuing a $15,000 reward for information leading to her safe return. For now, live in Tallahassee, Stacey Inez, WCTV Eyewitness News.
All right, hopefully these combined efforts lead to answers. Stacey, thank you so much.
Covering Tallahassee, where concern continues to grow as a 12-year-old girl has been missing now for more than a month. Police say Lori Paige went missing at the beginning of June. Now her teacher is asking for help finding her. Our Stacey Inez talked with Lori's teacher. Stacey, what is her biggest concern right now?
Well, Ben, right now, Margaret Summers says that her biggest concern is the fact that Lori's been gone for 32 days. And police say the 12-year-old has run away in the past, but her teacher says it's really just been too long for a child to be somewhere on the street. Now, she was last seen on Continental Court, which is off of Ocala Road. And her teacher says she won't stop spreading the word until Lori Paige is found.
She's very memorable because every day she would come straight from the door to my desk where I sat and give me a fist bump. And how you doing? How you doing?
Margaret Summers teaches at Griffin Middle School. She says 12-year-old Lori Paige was one of her most attentive students.
She had a lot of promise. She's very smart, and we can't just let her go and fade into nothingness where she just stays missing. And there's no closure and we don't know what happened.
I can't find the parents. Unless I'm not looking well enough or searching the right places. Good question. This whole thing, BG, does not add up and make any kind of sense. I just know one thing. I wonder why she was put down as missing. This is a child. Why is she home alone at that age? A girl. Alright, let's go back to it. After this news clip, I'm going to end it. I just wanted to show some of these news clips and everything. Yep, but I don't see the parents. No, I don't see them.
To her. We've got to find her and we've got to get an ending to this situation, and hopefully it'll be a good one.
But now that she's been missing for more than a month, her fears are growing every day.
I cannot imagine how a 12-year-old is surviving on her own for 32 days. That tells me there has to be an adult out there somewhere who knows either where she is, where she was last, something.
We are one community. We work together, and our children are important to us. Whatever side of town they live on, they're all important to us because they are Tallahassee's future, and someone is missing them. And so we want to make sure that we continue to push the envelope, to keep this message clear.
Tallahassee police are actively investigating Lori's disappearance, but they say no foul play is suspected.
Right now, it appears that she voluntarily left.
BG, you and I thinking the same thing. I'm trying to understand too. I don't want to be accusing nobody because we don't know the whole story, but something to think about, right? I know we're not the only ones who's thinking that. We got that same question in our mind. But the main question we want to answer is, where is Lori Paige? That's what we want to know. And whoever hurt this girl, dating girl, you need to suffer and suffer. And you should have never been born. And I'm going to follow this story. Resume.
And we have zero indication that that's not the case. But voluntary or not, we're going to do everything that we can to find her.
And if you think you've seen Lori Paige or know where she is, police say to call them instead of posting about it on social media.
Even if you're not 100% sure or you're not sure how important it is, please contact us. We will look into it. We can decide if it is important to the case.
Now, it's also important to know, TPD tells me today, if you are found to be harboring a missing child, that is a serious crime and can also result in an arrest. And police say they have been in contact with the girl's father. But again, really anyone who knows anything about Lori Paige or where she might be, they just ask that you call police directly to really help with that investigation.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of it. I just want to show those other clips after. I was trying to keep under an hour, but you know what? I'm not going to rush you, Lori Paige. Why? I'm not going to rush you. I can see and talk about some stupid celebrities. I can give time for a beautiful girl like you. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have to show here. I don't really have much information. I pinned a link up there. Please check out Carrie Mooney's video. She did some great commentary. God bless you, Carrie Mooney, because wow. Wow. But if I hear anything else, I will definitely be following this story. And everybody, please pray for her. And pray for so many young girls like her. This doesn't add up. Where are you, Lori? What happened to you? What happened to you? And those officers that was called, they all need to punish. They need to be punished. They need to get their job. They need to have their jobs taken from them. Because I'm trying to understand, why did these officers or whoever's in charge decide, hey, let's just throw her on the missing list? She didn't even hit teens. I think this happened when she was missing when she was 11. So she didn't even hit teen. And you already just like, well, let's not bother. Why? Why? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a moment of silence, a moment of prayer. We're going to pray for her and pray for other young girls like her. Where is Lori Paige? Where are you? Prayers to Lori Paige, moment of silence. And thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for engaging. And like I said, if you're a content creator, please, if you can, just make a quick video. Something. Use your social media presence to help this girl and so many other girls like her. Moment of silence.